Starting lineup: Mordekaiser, Nunu Willem, Yasuo, Tristana, Lux. Up against Yasuo, Wukong, Ryze, Ashe, Yuumi. Rating of the picks for a casual game. Mordekaiser as a top, 9. Nunu in the jungle, 7. Yasuo as a mid, 9. Tristana as a shooter, 10. Lux as a support, 6. Yasuo as a top would be a 7, but it's going to be an 8 because you're playing next to Wukong, and the interlinking of the ultimates is stronger than it sounds. It can really take over team fights. So that's an 8 for Yasuo. Ryze as a mid, a 5. Ashe as a shooter, a 6. Yuumi in support, a 0. We have Nunu in jungle here. Nunu, a champion with no ability to get away. There's only one direction with Nunu, and that is forward. Been very unpopular with the pros because of that reason, although we did see some of her in Worlds this year. Nunu essentially an awkward looking mage who does have some AoE that can help in team fights, but we see her ganking ability with the ball. It's just too awkward. It gets stuck so many times behind a tree or something similar. And at the end of the day, you really don't need all of this going around with a ball in order to gank a lane. There are many stuns in the game. There are many interrupts in the game. There are many crowd controls in the game. There's no reason why you would need this whole ball thing. The ball by itself is not going to do anything unique for you. And by far the greatest problem with a champ like Nunu is that every time it doesn't go your way, you're just forced to give up and die. And in that sense, even Aatrox, who, if you would ask the average player, would go like Aatrox in the jungle, that's a special needs troll. No, it's not. Aatrox, because of his mobility, can actually hop over hedges, for example. Something that Nunu cannot do. Which by itself, really, when it comes to mobility, would make Aatrox a better jungler than Nunu. Which goes to show you, as Aatrox is not a natural jungler, this is how little mobility Nunu really has. We have Tristana here as a shooter. Tristana like a really fast car that can accelerate and go from 0 to 100 in a split second. Very frequently we have here young woman playing Tristana. You're gonna notice it takes a lot to handle a card like that, and there are times where the champion just outpaces the player. Tristana is as good as it gets, but she's a lot to handle. Moving on. At the forefront of this play, take a moment to appreciate the parasitic nature of this cat. Can you imagine this thing goes inside of you, incessantly evaluates you, and goes out sending pings, making promises in your place, in the sense of, I'll be here, I'll be there, meaning that whoever she's in now is either a liar or forcibly has to go wherever the ping was sent. Now you could deal with spectators and haters because at the end of the day they have no real power. But if you piss this cat off and she leaves in the middle of a fight, that could literally cost you the lane. So now you've been put in a position as Ashe where you have to legitimately be concerned about whether you have been people-pleasing this cat. Because if you do anything to piss off the cat, she could very easily screw you over intentionally in combat. Nightmarish burden for the shooter, to be sure. Of course, with the mid lane, we have the ironical situation where the one single mid laner who is territorial and relies on minions to generate his tornado, the one single guy who is really territorial and significantly weakened beyond his own lane, Yasuo, is now of course the one guy who's going to start chasing objectives down and helping out in the middle of the jungle. Probably the only guy who shouldn't, so naturally, we're gonna do it like that. We're gonna have the one guy who struggles when there's no minions in his lane, or when there's no minions in his vicinity because he can't generate his combo. That guy is now gonna be running around in the jungle. Meanwhile, Rise, the mid of our team, is just completely ignoring this entire team fight, like you will see from most mids. A mid, the position with the most responsibility, and very frequently chosen by the least responsible people who just want to be stars. It is a lot like political leadership. The people who should be playing mid lane are probably the ones who don't have the ego and don't have the selfishness that it takes to say I want to play mid lane, because playing mid lane is a massive responsibility to take on, and it typically goes to those people who precisely should not get it. We see here in this fight Lux and Tristana. We see both from Lux as well as from Tristana. They are hesitant and they're not using their abilities. There's another ironical situation in here with the hesitancy of Tristana staying all the way back and naturally getting plowed all the same. So really, you gain nothing from letting your allied Yasuo die without trying to help him or protect him, because you ended up going down anyway. We see here Ashe literally using every tool in her kit as though she's on some massive assassin trip with monstrous ability cooldown, but she isn't. She's being built with attack speed, which I would not recommend, but this person pulled off gloriously because of their skills with the controls. This poor Nunu, who is being built exceptionally responsibly, to my great surprise, gets stuck in the middle here. When Yasuo is out of his natural setup situation, he quickly turns into a punching bag when he cannot generate his first spell combo. And we see here a group that is together in the red team, where Ashe puts her trust in me, thinking that I'm gonna try to secure the objective in a responsible way, and I put my trust in Ashe, thinking that she's going to care. And then you have Team Blue, where the champs are just trickling in one by one, and they all individually get gobbled up. You lack that team player mentality, that team spirit. League is going to punish you. A lot of today's episode is about, yes, the incredible strength of Yasuo, his potential, his ability to do so much with very little, but also the degree to which he has to stick to a pattern. Playing Yasuo is almost like solving a mathematical equation or like solving a mathematical puzzle. There is a right and a wrong, like with nobody else, and we have levels to that. For instance, you play Tahm Kench, you're gonna have the freedom to do nearly anything. A much more popular example, you play Shaco. There's a lot of debate about should we build Shaco AD or AP. You could go either way, you could do either thing. Yasuo is the complete reverse in that, but it goes beyond what goes for even his brother Yone. Because Yone does not really have freedom in his build because of the multipliers that he gets. He has to take what is being multiplied. But in Yasuo, you take it to another extreme, because not only do you not have freedom in your build, if we're being honest, as great as Yasuo is, and as tough as Yasuo is, you don't even really have freedom in your playstyle. You have to keep up a certain rhythm in your fight. You have no choice. And you have to combo off of minions in the lane. You have no choice. You cannot just take a trip down the jungle and then use your powers. You need something weaker to build your abilities up. Otherwise, you'll never shine as Yasuo. You'll never get to actually use your kit. And this is a person who turned out to go with a great build and apparently have commitment to really take this seriously in our top laner of the red team here. But this individual either did not know about building up the combos and the very strict laner behavior, or they were in denial of it. Either they were uninformed, or they were just in denial of reality. You cannot just randomly trade with Yasuo. Everything that you do as Yasuo has to belong to your own plan and what you yourself wanted to originally do to shine. He's an active champion, not a reactive champion. When you get hit with Yasuo, you cannot just say, "Oh, I'm going to start brawling and trading with you now. Oh, I'm just gonna start brawling and trading with Mordekaiser now." Mordekaiser is always ready. He doesn't have that flashiness and those multipliers that Yasuo have. And not even Yasuo's natural toughness. But Mordekaiser can always trade. Yasuo can't. There's a situation where he should go all in, and there's a situation where he should stay all the way out. This reactive thinking, "Oh, he hit me, I hit him, he hit me, I hit him, he hit me, I hit him back." This doesn't work when you have to build up your tornado. At the start of this play here, we are allowed a peek inside the horror of this cat following me around in the jungle and entering me as I'm farming up jungle creepers. Instantly had to tell this thing to F off. It is a testament to how poised this Ashe player was, that although she's so far out, we managed to successfully gank the lane. I find though, very frequently, because I only look at the enemies on the map, and the amount of times that I gank lanes and that I go all the way in, that I find that everybody on my side of the team has left and I'm just standing there by myself. This is in many ways another such an example, but because of the degree to which this Ashe is poised, and due to the fact that Cyclone can keep them in place that long, we end up being able to take them down together. Now what you see here is team-oriented play as opposed to selfish play. I can see that Lux has been had. I have used my ultimate on her. She's swept up, she's dazzled. I know that she's incapable. I know that Lux is incapable of handling Ashe, so I'm just going to give up to kill and chase after the other one in an attempt to get them both. What you would see from selfish junglers is they would now go after this Lux because the chances that you're gonna steal this kill are higher. But no, it is more important to claim the whole lane than to try to steal every kill. So you just let Ashe handle the rest because I know that she has it. There's no need to micromanage targets that are already secured. It's more about denying the enemy team the bottom lane than it is about individual records. That is team-oriented play. In this play, we see Nunu ganking a lane, Mordekaiser and Yasuo, and we see Ashe up against the bottom laners. Now notice every time this Yasuo is in trouble, there is no mob to build up his combo around him. He never has any ability to use his kit because he's never put himself in situations where he can thrive. With Yasuo, you have to either see what you like in the situation or you have to get out and leave. If you have no way to leverage the situation based on mainly your first spell and building it up, then you're just gonna end up being a piñata. In summary, our team's Yasuo is playing Mundo, not Yasuo. This is not how you play Yasuo. His decision-making process was just like, I'm tough, I'm going to go in and stand around. That's not Yasuo. Yasuo needs very specific things, and I can tell you now, it is not for everyone. He's extremely specific, like a mathematical puzzle. You seemed to be appreciative of his core kit because you were building it with the right items. And over time, many of these things, if you have that much goodwill, can be learned. But maybe you desire more general freedom, and in that case, a top like Mundo would suit you much better, who can just walk in anywhere, and he doesn't rely on building up his abilities. We have Ashe, who pretty much is in a 1v2 situation here. This person is making it look like she has a million ability cooldown items. You can tell how much the freezing and the slowing can make the shooting more straightforward, and it's essentially one of the best tools to bridge the gap if you have any issues escaping or sniping kills. The freezing and the slowing serve as a way to mitigate the difficulty. Here we have Wukong going King Kong, taking over that lane. You have to wonder if you're Tristana and Lux here, how many life points does Ashe really have? At the end of the day, no matter how good this player is with Ashe, Ashe remains incredibly frail. All the towers in your vicinity are down, and you get a bit of this feminized mindset of like, I'm going to run anyway. No, like, be rational about it. You could either kill Ashe here and take a stand, or you could run off to nowhere. When there's nowhere to retreat to, you should just stand and fight. Make up your mind and stand and fight. Just because you have the emotional feeling of desperately wanting to get away from us, that's not automatically going to make you able to get away from us. You should only run when there's a space to run to. The moment you lost all your towers, your space to retreat disappeared. You have to stand your ground and fight. This is the wrong decision to hysterically start running away here. You're running off to nowhere. Higher up here we have the showcase of these two Yasuo players meeting in the jungle. Of course, usually there is a complete lack of willingness to be active and chase people around in the jungle. Of course, who is the one single champ that we're going to do that on? Naturally, Yasuo, the one guy who's territorial and really shouldn't be chasing people around because he relies on mobs and is very situational. So we get this bizarre spectacle of the two Bushi going at it in the jungle. And for this Nunu player, just make up your mind. Either help or don't. When it's all said and done, this allied Yasuo player that you're trying to help out here is not going to remember that you died anyway. If you're not going to do something productive, you may as well save yourself in this situation. We have this person apologetically moving back and forth the entire time in complete confusion as to what to do, and essentially trying to please and appease here by offering himself up in the clumsiest possible way. We also have part of why you shouldn't play Nunu here, where he's building up the little snowball or the little magic ball, and you can tell, as so frequently, it naturally gets stuck behind a tree, which is a problem when you're in the jungle, that your S gets stuck behind a tree. And so you're just standing there with nothing but your little D in your hands because the tree was in the way. We have Rise here using almost nothing in his kit, using almost no abilities, auto-attacking his way through it. And we just see the difference in this play as well in the takedown of Nunu. The difference between the damage potential of Ashe when she's played by a person who knows what they're doing, compared to, say, the damage potential of somebody like Rise. Like, this difference in kill speed is unbelievable. Very little jungle mobility to get away with Nunu. Once you are in, you're in, and you can't get out anymore. In this case, however, Yasuo sacrificed himself for you. You could have ran, you could have saved yourself. And you chose to come up with a response that satisfied nobody. Now essentially sacrifices in vain. It is a conclusion and it is a play style that can only serve as an apology and a way of trying to appease to random strangers on the internet. And we have the cat, of course, as per our usual arrangement, basically being a loudmouth non-factor. Taking a look at the scoreboard here, I like this item a lot. I think this is very good. This is really beautiful that you're showing an actual commitment to what you lined up for. Honestly, in the heat of the moment, in the middle of the game, I would have most definitely not expected this person to be responsible in this manner. But this is most definitely a responsible build, especially if you wait a little bit with boots because of the movement speed that you already get from Phantom Dancer. If this is really your thing, if you want to respect the build, go for it. He's very difficult to learn and he's extremely specific. There's no freedom of build choices with him, but he can be amazing. And maybe you just need time to get good at him. Maybe the best Ashe player that I've ever played with. Yeah. Building her like Jinx. So there you go. Perhaps this guy knows his stuff. I think this is not a good idea personally. I've said that many times. I've also debated it. Halfway going into assassin items allows Ashe to freeze and stun way more frequently, and it will diminish the amount of skill that is required. It will make it much easier to play her. From my point of view, you should get Kraken or Navori Flickerblade, and then you should start on assassin items to help with your cooldown. But hey, this person is amazing with the controls. Who knows? This is a very mature start. You would honestly not think this having watched this person in action. This is a very grown-up, mature start. Wow, I'm surprised. Yeah, this is the worst build of this lineup. You should go in and get a shield, or get a weapon, or get a staff of some kind. You are a typical person who gets distracted by all of this extra stuff. They sprinkle all these cookies and whatever it is on top, all this compass and whatever it is, the shoes. You have all these gimmicky things, and the reality is, like, at the end of the day, you don't have a proper instrument of battle. So back to the basics it is for this Lux player. Moving on.
Every mistake is a lesson. Is that all they've got? Adapt to all situations. to the test. My place is at the top. Bring me a real challenge. Wukong style. Who questions my ability?
Has been slain.
Never settle for second. I got this.
We did it! We knocked him over!
You got it.
Has slain an
My
enemy.
journey's only beginning. Every mistake is a lesson.
Slain an enemy.
Show me the path.
Rampage. Double kill. An ally has been slain.
Adapt to all situations. Been waiting for this. place is at the top. You got it. Never settle for second. Just try to stop.
Rampage.
Every mistake is a lesson. My journey's only beginning. Show me the path. Bring me a real challenge. Adapt to all situations. My place is at the top.
Turret plating will fall soon.
You got it.
An enemy has been slain.
Never settle for second.
Double kill.
Who questions my ability?
Dominating. An ally has been slain.
Every mistake is a lesson.
Your team has destroyed a turret.
path. My journey only begins. Adapt to all situations.
Shut down.
Bring me a real challenge.
Your team has destroyed a turret.
At the top. Never settle for second. You got it.
Your team has destroyed a turret.
Who questions my ability?
An ally has been slain.
Every mistake is a lesson.
Reveal what is hidden.
My journey's only beginning. Show me the path.
An enemy has been slain.
Adapt to all situations.
Dominating.
Bring me a real challenge.